everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the Adelaide Beanie. This is the second crochet beanie in the 2023 Wonderful Hats Crochet Along. It features a beautiful texture of half double crochet stitches in the third loop and the ever popular Suzette Stitch. It's a fairly easy beanie to work from the bottom brim, which is worked in rows, up to the top of the hat, which can be worn with a pom-pom or also without. It's really up to you. For the tutorial today, I'm going to be using a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook, as well as about 250 yards of a worsted weight acrylic yarn. I'm working with the Impeccable yarn by Loops and Threads. There's about 285 yards per ball, and you're only going to need one of these balls to complete the beanie. So thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time hearing about the crochet along, check out the link down in the bio, in the description there, and it will take you to the free written pattern, but also there'll be information there about the crochet along this year. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe, take a look around, and check out some of the other crochet beanie patterns there. Stay tuned. On Friday, I will be releasing the pattern for this matching scarf, so you'll definitely want to hit that notification bell so you can be notified when the other patterns go live. As I mentioned, our pattern today is worked from the brim up, and I should have also given you the dimensions. The pattern that we're going to work today is sized to fit an adult head, measuring 20 to 22 inch circumference. I'll give you some instruction a little bit later on how to adjust the size of your beanie. So today we're going to start by working our brim. We're going to make a slip knot and then chain 13. And you can make your brim longer or shorter, just chain more chains or less chains to change the size. You're then going to work a slip stitch into the second chain from your hook, and then slip stitch into each stitch all the way across. Now, if you are not a fan of slip stitches, I totally understand. You can substitute these slip stitches for single crochet stitches or half double crochet stitches. I just love the look and feel of the slip stitch brim, so that's what I'm going to work today. So slip stitch in each stitch all the way across. You'll have a total of 12 slip stitches. Once you come all the way across, you're going to chain one and turn your work. We're now going to continue working rows of slip stitches simply by working them in the back loop only. It's going to give us that ribbed look. So if you look at your yarn, you have this loop at the top of your stitch that's the closest to you. This is your front loop. The loop that is in back, that is your back loop. So you're going to work under the back loop only. The chain one does not count as a stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into that first stitch and then into each stitch all the way across, always working in that back loop only. Once again, you'll have 12 slip stitches, or you can substitute for single crochet or half double crochet. When you come all the way across, chain one, turn your work, and you're going to repeat that row 2. So working in the back loop only, slip stitch in that first stitch and in each stitch all the way across. Repeat that row 2. You're going to continue repeating that row 2 until your work from the beginning measures approximately 16 to 17 inches, and that will be relaxed, so when it's not stretched. When the beanie brim is stretched, it should fit comfortably, stretched to 20 to 22 inches so that it fits the adult head. Or if you'd like to change the size, again, work it shorter or longer. It's up to you. So go ahead, continue repeating row 2 for as long as you like, or 16 to 17 inches. Once you have worked 16 to 17 inches, this is what your brim is going to look like. Again, that 16 to 17 inches is relaxed, and it should have a nice stretch and spring to it. You're then going to join your two short sides together. So you're just going to fold them over like so. Do not fasten off. You'll have at the end of your final row, you're going to chain 1. And then you're going to work in the back loop only of both thicknesses, and you're going to slip stitch all the way across. So insert in your back loop only of the first piece, then across into the same stitch on the next piece in the back loop only, and slip stitch all the way across. Be careful not to skip any stitches, and you really want to make sure that your stitches are lined up so that your brim ends are joined evenly. So slip stitch all the way across. Again, it will be 12 slip stitches. Once you come all the way across, you can chain 1, and you're going to turn your brim so that it is right side out. You want your seam, your slip stitch seam, to be on the inside. You're now going to continue working in rounds, and we're going to work the hat body. To begin, for round 1, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to evenly work 72 half double crochet stitches all the way around. As you are working these half double crochet stitches, you just want to insert your hook where it feels comfortable on the brim, because you're not working to the tops of any stitches, you're just working around this rough edge of the brim of your hat. If it helps, place a few stitch markers evenly around the brim of your beanie and work. Say if you put one halfway around, you can work half the stitches on one side, half on the other, but you really just want these stitches to be fairly evenly spread out. If you are changing the size of your beanie for this round, you're simply going to need an even number of stitches. Now, when I'm working mine, I do like to work in multiples of 8. So if you want to keep that in mind, you can as well, but you'll just need an even number, and then realize that when you come to closing the top of the beanie, you'll have to adjust your stitch counts accordingly. Right now, we're going to work 72 half double crochet stitches. Once you've worked your 72 half double crochet stitches all the way around, you're going to join with a slip stitch just into the top of your first stitch. You're then going to chain 1, continue working in the same direction. For round 2, you're going to work in the third loop only of each stitch, and you're going to be working half double crochet stitches. So we're going to start with the first stitch. To find your third loop, we're now looking at the front of our stitch, but if we turn it over to the back, you will see a loop that runs just under your top loop. It runs parallel to it along the back of your stitch. This is your third loop. So you're going to yarn over into that third loop insert your hook, yarn over, and finish your half double crochet stitch. So into the same stitches joining, and then into each stitch all the way around. Half double crochet into that third loop. What it's going to do is push the tops of your stitches forward and give you a nice bit of texture. So work a half double crochet in the third loop of each stitch all the way around. At the end of round 2, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, just in the top 2 loops, and chain 1. For round 3, once again, you're going to be working in the third loop all the way around. This time, we're just going to work single crochet stitches. So working in the third loop, single crochet into the same stitches joining, and then single crochet in the third loop of each stitch all the way around. When you come to your first stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 3, you will have joined with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You can chain 1. For round 4, we're going to start some of the Suzette Stitch texture. So you're going to start by working into the same stitches joining into that first stitch, a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. Skip the next stitch, into your next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. You're going to repeat that all the way around. Skip the next stitch, into your next stitch, work a single crochet followed by a double crochet. Skip the next stitch, single crochet and double crochet. All the way around until you have 1 stitch remaining. When you come around at the end of round 4 and you have 1 stitch remaining, you're going to skip that final stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, chain 1, and at this time you're going to turn your work. You're now going to, for round 5, begin by working a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitches joining, which is this single crochet. So you're going to kind of feel like you're coming backward a little bit, but you want to insert your hook into that same stitches joining into that single crochet, work a single crochet stitch and a double crochet. Skip the next double crochet and into your next single crochet stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet. You're going to repeat that all the way around. Skip the next double crochet stitch into your next single crochet, work a single crochet followed by a double crochet all the way around until you have 1 stitch remaining. At the end of round 5, you have 1 stitch remaining, join with a slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. Chain 1 and once again turn your work. You now have the right side of your work facing. For round 6, you're going to begin once again just as you did for round 5 with a single crochet into the same stitches joining into the single crochet and a double crochet. Skip the next double crochet stitch and into your next single crochet, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Repeat that all the way around, skip the next stitch, into your next single crochet, work a single crochet and a double crochet all the way around until you come to your first stitch, and then join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 6, you have 1 stitch remaining, which is a double crochet. You're going to skip that stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At this time, do not turn your work. Chain 1, and for round 7, you're simply going to work a half double crochet into the same stitch as joining, and then half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. At the end of this round, you should continue to have 72 stitches, as you did before, and you're just going to half double crochet into each stitch. When you come to that first stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of this first stitch. At the end of round 7, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You're now at the repeat in the pattern. So what you're going to do for rounds 8 through to 13 is you're going to repeat your rounds 2 through to 7 once more. So your round 2 started with that chain 1, and then working in the third loop only of each stitch all the way around, half double crochet stitch in each stitch in the third loop. And that was your round 2. Then repeat all the way through to your round 7. So you'll end on the half double crochet stitch round, and then you can meet me back here and we will work the decrease rounds in the top of our beanie. So go ahead for rounds 8 through to 13, repeat rounds 2 through to 7. At the end of your repeat, so at the end of round 13, this is what your work looks like from the bottom up to the top. You're going to, for rounds 14 and 15, you're going to repeat your rounds 2 and 3. So for round 14, you're going to work in the third loop only all the way around, half double crochet all the way around in each stitch, and then join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, chain 1, and then for round 15, working in that third loop only, you're going to single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So for rounds 14 and 15, repeat your rounds 2 and 3. At the end of round 15, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Chain 1. So now we're going to start working the decreases in the top of our hat. So what we're going to do for round 16 is we're going to start by working a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch as joining. You're then going to skip the next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to do that twice. So there's once, skip the next stitch, into the next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Now to work our first decrease, we're going to skip the next stitch and simply work one single crochet into the next. And that's it. We're just going to keep it simple for this round. You're then going to skip the next stitch and work a single crochet and a double crochet into the next stitch and skip the next stitch, and you're going to do that a total of 3 times. There's once, skip the next stitch, 2, skip the next stitch, 3. Skip the next stitch, into your next stitch, work a single crochet, skip the next stitch, and repeat. Single crochet, double crochet, skip the next stitch, do that 3 times, followed by a single crochet. So you're going to repeat that all the way around until you come to your first stitch. At the end of round 16, you're going to end with a single crochet stitch, skip the next stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of your round 16, you'll have a total of 63 stitches. You're then going to chain 1 and turn your work. For round 17, we're going to switch things up a little bit, simply because I wanted to make sure that I was carrying this Suzette Stitch texture through this portion of the beanie. So for round 17, you're going to start by into your next single crochet. So not into the same stitch as joining. Into your next single crochet stitch, you're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip the next double crochet into your next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet. You're then going to skip the next double crochet into your next single crochet, work a single crochet stitch, skip the next double, and work another single crochet in your next single crochet stitch. You're then going to repeat that all the way around. Into your next single crochet stitch, which is simply the next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet, skip the next double crochet, into your next single crochet, work a single crochet and a double crochet, skip the next double, work a single crochet into your next single crochet stitch, skip the next double crochet and work a single crochet into your next single crochet stitch. Repeat that all the way around. Single crochet and double in the next stitch, all the way around until you come to your first stitch. At the end of round 17, you're going to have a total of 54 stitches. You'll have joined with a slip stitch in the first stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now for round 18, we're going to start by working a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch as joining. So into that first single crochet stitch. You're then going to work a single crochet 2 stitches together over the next 2 single crochet. So I'm actually going to go back here. And your first single crochet and double crochet is into this first single crochet stitch. Then single crochet 2 stitches together over the next 2 single crochet stitches. To work the single crochet 2 together, you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and drop a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's your single crochet 2 together. You're then going to skip the next stitch and work a single crochet and a double crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that. Skip the next stitch, into your next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet, followed by a single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. You're going to repeat this all the way around. Skip the next stitch, single crochet and double crochet into the next, skip the next stitch and single crochet and double crochet into the next, followed by a single crochet 2 stitches together. All the way around, you're going to end with a skip 1 followed by a single crochet and a double crochet into your next stitch before you join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 18, you're going to skip this next cluster here, this double crochet, your single crochet, which was the same stitch as joining, and then you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first single crochet stitch. You will have a total at the end of round 18 of 45 stitches. For round 19, it's a little bit more straightforward. You're going to chain 1. You're going to work a half double crochet into your first stitch and into each of the next 2 stitches. You're then going to work a half double crochet 2 stitches together. To work your half double crochet 2 stitches together, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and drop a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. You're then going to work a half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, followed by a half double crochet 2 stitches together. You're going to repeat this all the way around and then join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, followed by a half double crochet 2 stitches together. At the end of round 19, you'll have a total of 36 stitches. Join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Do not turn your work. Now for round 20, you're going to chain 1, working in the 3rd loop all the way around. You're going to work a half double crochet into the same stitch as joining, and into the next stitch. You're then going to work a half double crochet stitch, 2 stitches together, once again working in the 3rd loop. Work a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and half double crochet 2 stitches together all the way around until you come to your first stitch. Join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 20, you'll have a total of 27 stitches. You're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch and chain 1. Now for round 21, working in the 3rd loop only, once again, you're going to half double crochet into the same stitch as joining, and then half double crochet 2 stitches together. Half double crochet into the next stitch, and half double crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that all the way around and join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 21, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You'll have a total of 18 stitches and chain 1. Now for your final round, your round 22, you're going to once again work under both loops of your stitch, so we're not working in the 3rd loop anymore, and you're simply going to half double crochet 2 stitches together all the way around. So simply half double crochet 2 stitches together all the way around until you come to your first stitch. at the end of this round, you can join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch and then fasten off, leaving a little bit of a long tail. You'll have a total of 9 stitches. You're then going to use that long tail to sew the top of your beanie closed. So taking your yarn needle, thread that long tail through, and for this part I do like to kind of turn my beanie inside out. And then to sew the top of your hat closed, you're simply going to take your yarn needle, weave in and out through the tops of that final round of stitches. Once you come around to that first point, you can simply pull it closed, secure. I like to with just a little bit of a knot. And this time, depending on how you're adding a pom-pom, if you're using a button, you can even use this little tail to sew the button on. But you're just going to weave in your ends otherwise. Trim any tails, weave in any other ends that you may have, and then that's it. That's all there is to working your Adelaide beanie. You can then go ahead and add a pom-pom to the top if you wish. It's really up to you, and that's the Adelaide beanie. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I invite you to subscribe, check out the free pattern on richtexturescrochet.com, and I look forward to seeing all of your finished beanies. Until then, happy crocheting. Bye.